Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. This is Daybreak. The hashtag on X is Citizen Daybreak. The SMS code is 22422 at Citizen TV Kenya and at Ayub Abdikadir. On my far right is the lawmaker representing Kathiani constituency, Robert Mbui. Good morning.
Morning, Ayub, and morning, viewers.
Appreciated. Many thanks for your presence. Dr. Barak Muluka also joins us this morning. Dr. Good morning.
Morning. Most appreciative to be here this morning.
Thank you for granting us your presence here. And Uriri lawmaker Mark Nyamita also joins us this morning here on the broadcast. Good morning.
Good morning, Ayub. Thank you very much.
Lovely having you here on the broadcast. And shortly we'll be joined by Javas Bigambo, who is already in the studio. He will be here once he gets mic'd up. Gentlemen, first beginning with you, Dr. Barak, a lot to discuss from a policy perspective to what the president said yesterday regarding the newly rolled out Nyota program. But first, given what we had witnessed towards the end of last week, Daktari, certainly a conglomeration of KANU offsprings in current day political arena. And the president has been categorical of the delays post-independence to attain the status Kenya so deservedly deserves. But is the current political establishment headed by the president a representation of the break or a break from the past?
I think it's if it's a break, it's a break of hope, a break of the initial optimism, a break from the Kenyan dream, which is essentially captured in the words of our national anthem. Whenever we look at that anthem, we should appreciate it as a psalm of hope. Psalm of hope that we are talking about a nation that has got justice as its shield and defender, a nation that is full of hope being found within its borders, a nation that believes that the fruit of our labor shall fill every heart with thanksgiving, and that we can live in liberty, peace, and unity. Mm-hmm. We do not see ourselves as obtaining in the space of liberty and unity. We see ourselves being railroaded to one entity in some behemoth of a location, of a political nature, okay, under the rule of one individual. And I've been reminded in these times of the symbolic allegory of the African condition, which the playwright and literary scholar Professor Joe de Graft, the late of Ghana, put together in the play titled Muntu, which is a depiction of the African condition, mm-hmm, from the beginning up to where we are today. And you see the rise of these strong men who want to herd everyone and put them in one basket. And they are totally in control of that basket. Everyone must come and bow before them. Even those in whom we have previously invested hope for liberation eventually end up kneeling before this all-powerful individual, and it is going to take the very finest of us to be able to withstand that kind of draconian direction that the country is being chaperoned towards. And things like the Nyota Fund just belong to a hodgepodge of experiments that have not been thought through. You wake up one morning and you hatch a new one, and you go out, you experiment. It's not been tested. Okay. There's no piloting. And you start saying things like we are going to become a first world nation. First world nations are thought through, and they take long processes. Okay. They're not just about individuals, okay, waking up with their whims one morning and suddenly there's a presto, Nyota.
Okay. And one single experience was Singapore that was touted by the president and the administration as an experience or a height that they want to attain. Coming to you, Honorable Mark Nyamita, then is the pathway to prosperity achievable with the current political establishment given their conduct?
Thank you, Ayub, and thank you for inviting me on this show this morning. First, let me say that, let me comment on the first issue that you spoke to, that, you know, it's the same political players coming together and trying to put people to go in one particular direction. I mean, if you look on both sides of the divide, it's the same players who've been around for the longest. So if you think about, in fact, the first person who's made an attempt, and a successful one at that, to break into that club is actually the current president, who, when even people say that he's a dynasty, you know, he's a son of a nobody. He's the first one who was consistently, because it has to be, you know, slowly and slowly. You know, today we are here on this bench with my leader here in the National Assembly. First term MP, second, he's second, third now is in leadership, like that, and has grown. So the president has actually consistently done that until now. He is actually at the top. And therefore, he has actually brought, through hard work, he's got himself onto that. Look at the other side of the divide. And now, when you think about Raila Odinga, he's also been there for a reason. They're not a creation of their own. The leaders that we have today, including the leaders on this particular bench, we are not a creation of our own. We are a creation of the people that we actually represent. We may disagree on one or two issues, but we are a creation of the people that we actually represent. So the people that you see, the fabric of leadership that you see across the nation is a reflection of the people that they actually represent. So when you look at Uhuru Kenyatta, look at the events leading to his elections in 2013 and even the repeat elections. It's a whole region that ganged and said, this is really our guy. He didn't impose himself on the people. Look at Kalonzo Musyoka. He's been there from the KANU days. In fact, if you look on either side of the divide, there is no one who has not had a stint in KANU. Gachagua, a beneficiary of KANU. Kalonzo Musyoka, beneficiary of KANU. Martha Karua, KANU. J.B. Muturi, KANU. In fact, I was reading his book on a travel, a very interesting book, I must say. And when he was getting into politics, he debated on whether to join, on which party to join. Finally, he said it is KANU. Then when you come on this other side, it is KANU. So when I saw even, you know, splashing headlines saying that, you know, KANU guys gang up on one side to try and whatever, even on the other side, it's a replica of KANU on the other. Now, speaking about Nyota, and let me tell you, the unemployment and the state of hopelessness amongst our youth in this country is at an all-time high. And any effort to alleviate that pain from them, for me, will get full support. Any single effort that will come. Sometime in the last regime, there was the establishment of the ICDCs, the constituency industrial development centers. And during that, you know, small businesses, you know, with your carpenters, you know, small artisan businesses were being given a center where they could go show their skill. And after that, there was a small amount of money that would actually be given to them to kickstart. That didn't quite see the light of day, but there are cases of success. I have spotted a few. This Nyota program initially, I know, was supposed to be under the same. It's actually riding on that very infrastructure. Today, look at, maybe sometimes, unless you interact with the people is when you will know. Look at how do our young people in the villages begin to start their businesses? Because the easiest business for them to start now is the border. What do? They will look for 20,000. They'll go and pay it to some of these guys who are giving motorbikes on credit. Once they pay 20,000, they're given a motorbike, they're on the road. And they start earning and just paying. So they keep on. So if they're looking for 20,000 to start their business, anything that can give them 20,000 plus, for me, is a good one. And for me, when someone says that there's not been a pilot, I think that this first phase is a pilot. Because we're only talking about 70 people per ward. 70 people. My understanding of what actually is happening now is actually a pilot. That it is 70 people, everyone gets a certain amount, and they are applying. There's going to be a vetting process to see whether you have a business plan that is well thought through, and then there are criteria of what it is. So any particular effort to alleviate the situation that our young people and the jobless crew, who are not the people sitting here on this particular platform, for me will get support. Especially, there is no criticism that should be welcomed to that in that regard if that criticism is not also offering a different solution.
Okay,
because sometimes it is just easier to say, oh, it is bad. What is the solution?
Okay, we'll talk about then the cornerstone of the administration's plan, including MSMEs, the Hustler Fund, and now the Nyota program, and ideally talk about what you have labeled as the criticism, and put into context then what this portends for manufacturing and industry in the context of the manifesto, the better plan that the president sold the people. But Honorable Robert Mbui, coming to you, the much delayed dream of Kenya's prosperity post-independence is attributable to the opposition faction as well, is it, given that at some point they served in government previously?
Well, Ayub, thank you for that comment, but you will notice that some of the political leaders, when you look at their history, were also part of the success of this country. My party leader, for example, when he was vice president, you know that the country was doing very well under the leadership of Kibaki. So basically, it's not all political leaders that have a similar history. They may have all been in KANU at the same time, but some are riddled with issues of corruption, and so all sorts of impropriety. So basically, they are not the same. They may have had the same political party. And even right now, I mean, people in the same, there's people in a party that has also got criminals. So you don't say that because they're all in KANU, they're the same. We're very different. But having said that, this issue of this fund, the new one, the latest Nyota fund, I mean, it's just the political theatrics and gymnastics that William Ruto is good for. I mean, I would be interested to understand that when he came to power, the first thing he said is that he's coming up with a fund, a model that is going to get everybody out of poverty, called the Hustler Fund, where he was giving as little as 500 shillings as a loan for business. I mean, that was totally outrageous, hadn't been thought through at all. Now he says, now we're doing a Nyota Fund, which is a lot better. But then, it's a way of also, conning Kenyans into forgetting that before that we had the Youth Fund that basically is also geared towards giving money for the youth to be able to set up businesses. We also had the Uwezo Fund that is also basically supposed to be giving, funds to the youth and women. We have the Women Enterprise Fund. So basically what this regime is good at is PR. You keep being told good things at the beginning, and then when things go bad, they're the first ones who will be shouting. When they started the SHA program, we told them, go slowly. Don't rush this process. Let us first look at the mistakes that are in NHIF and sort them out. They quickly rushed the process. Now the CS for Health, Aden Duale himself will be shouting at the rooftop and saying, no, I'm going to take people to jail because SHA is failing. The president himself is saying, no, you cannot be stealing from us through SHA. So it's the same thing. I mean, for me, I think the more things change, Ayub, the more they remain the same. I think it's just politics. They've come up with a new name. The thing is that they're getting money from World Bank. All they needed to do was channel it through the systems that already exist, that have been tried and tested. So I don't believe it's anything, anything spectacular that they've come up with. But then again, it's also the responsibility of any regime in power to take care of its people. So the idea of supporting the youth into getting into business, I think is a brilliant idea, but it's nothing new. It's something that's been there forever.
Because the question is then, Dr. Barak, after Javas, I'll come to you on whether we are deviating away from the structured intervention required. But Javas, before Daktari comes in, if we are to apportion blame, the current political establishment headed by the head of state would take much of the percentage, is it, other than the previous heads of state. We only have one living former president in Uhuru Kenyatta. But the blame, if apportioned, a lion's share of the percentage today will head to the current crop of leadership we have, is it?
Thank you, Ayub. Perhaps I would start by saying that I have agreed the invitation to the discourse of planetary consciousness by the Cameroonian philosopher, Professor Achille Mbembe. And this planetary consciousness is about how interconnected we all are, from history to policy to governance to the realities that we live on this good earth. And I came in when my good relative, Dr. Barak Muluka, was engaging in great rational coherence on the issues of governance. And tying all this to the history and the historical issues that you ask, and whether sufficient blame will be apportioned to President William Ruto, if at all such decision were to be made across the history of Kenya, 5 regimes, I would say then that if such would be the ultimate decision weighted by the majority, then I think it would be a decision that is finding comfort in scapegoating. Look, when you look at President William Ruto's history, President Uhuru Kenyatta's history, and the other presidents who are now deceased, and even the kind of governance programs that are presently being implemented, we would say that it cannot then rest upon the shoulders of just one man for whatever reason. You see, Ayub, history by its nature is not just a collection of footprints from former times. It remains as a teacher that is willing to teach those who are willing to learn. If we're to learn from history around the questions that you're asking, we then see that some mistakes have lingered on from the first administration to date. When the first president took the reins of power, he talked about the necessity of wiping diseases, ignorance, etc., and poverty out of this country. Those challenges are not just unique to Kenya, they are all over the world. But the issue is, what kind of programs and policies have been instituted by the different regimes that we can say are helping people to pull their socks from around their anklets? Now, there's been the lamentation by a number of relatives here concerning the Nyota program. This week, I appreciate that as we head into the Mashujaa celebrations, it is an energy week, celebrating, for example, the energy initiatives that this administration has put in place. For example, we are now appreciating that close to 70 to 80% of connectivity across the country with the last mile connectivity. And in that, close to 500,000 Kenyans have had their connectivity for free. These initiatives of the last mile are in this regime and Uhuru Kenyatta's regime. The past regimes did not have that. You remember even during the KANU times, when a KANU candidate was standing, positioning himself for office, they would bring electricity poles, and if that candidate fails, the KPLC would come and take them away. That does not happen in the current times. Now,
it ought not to happen, is it?
It must not happen.
It's not a privilege, it's a right.
It must not happen. But remember, governance by its nature is not just a question of a thinking laboratory. But any administration put in place, predicated on the manifesto that it used to ride to power, must develop policies and have those policies to help the people out of difficult circumstances, poverty, education issues, etc. And that is why I would pick an issue with Mheshimiwa Mbui here when he says that, for example, the Nyota program and every other program under this administration is mere theatrics. Now, without offering any constructive alternative, look, so does it mean that, and I would agree with the Mheshimiwa Nyamita, that then a government or President William Ruto's government should have sat on its hands on the issues of youth unemployment? Remember, even scholars around the globe have indicated that chances are in the next 20 to 25 years, most of the African governments will be ungovernable because of the challenges of the youth bulge, unemployment. And that's why leaders must start imagining and reimagining a greater future where the place of younger people is secured, they are involved in governance, but beyond that, how the private sector can come in to ensure that we get to have a greater future where everybody is involved. And that is why, for example, last year, 2024, the United Nations General Assembly came up with the Pact for the Future with 56 actionable issues, part of which among them is the issues of unemployment, health, etc. Issues that also we find that are anchored in Africa Agenda 2063. And so I think it is all right when, and what President William Ruto is doing, to take Kenya forward by his vision, by working together with other leaders. And that is why even by that kind of aspiration, my relative, Dr. Muluka, he is the Secretary General of DNA Party because he has a vision, he aspires for something, and that party also wishes to contribute to national development, possibly by joining other coalitions, possibly even with President William Ruto before the next election.
Okay, so we will talk about after the break, Daktari, beginning with you, the imagination that Javas has talked about and whether we are wealthy, orderly, efficient and honestly governed as the current establishment had stated, started by the president, of course, taking the example of Singapore under Lee Kuan Yew, and whether there is anyone who matches up the integrity of the late Prime Minister. All that is after the break here on the broadcast with the gentleman. Stay tuned.